Welcome to this Ready to Craft. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create this beautiful bee wreath using Readi-Board. To begin, I've already printed off and assembled my template. I simply use some regular office tape to do this. Now I will get my sheet of Readi-Board and measure about 16 inches. This should give me plenty of room for my wreath. I'll set aside the other piece of foam board for later. I'm going to use Repositionable spray adhesive to attach my template to my foam board, but you could use some rubber cement. I like to use a scrap piece of foam board to smooth down my template. The template was designed in such a way that you could create different wreath shapes. I'm going to use a crayon to determine which of the hexagons I want to actually keep. If you aren't exactly sure which ones you should leave or take, I suggest always adding more. You can cut them off at a later stage. Then I'll get a new blade in my hobby knife. I'll begin by cutting the outside edges first. For these interior cuts, I like to go from one corner just past the center, and then the other corner and to the center. After I've cut the entire outside, I'll move on to the inside. And after the inside, we can move on to the individual hexagons. I'm going to leave a couple of the hexagons solid. There are two reasons for this. One, it'll add a little bit of strength to my wreath. And two, the fabric that I picked is really pretty and I want to show off some of its pattern. My preferred method for cutting the hexagons is to cut one corner towards the center all the way around, then flip it and do the same the other direction. Check from the back to make sure that your cuts have gone all the way through. Now that everything's cut out, remove the template. To attach my fabric, I'm going to use Mod Podge. The project sliding around made it a little difficult to work with, so I'm just going to use some masking tape to hold it down. I prefer to work from the center outwards. I'm simply coating the top with Mod Podge and then rolling the fabric down as I work. Once I've reached the end of this side, I'll flip the project around and once again work from the center outward. Now that I have all of my fabric laid out, I'm going to go back with the Mod Podge and coat everything on top. Let this dry completely before moving on to any further steps. I'm going to carefully remove the masking tape that I applied earlier. I don't want to accidentally glue my project to this other piece of foam board. Once it is dry, you can begin trimming away the excess fabric. This is nearly the same process you did as cutting out the template. Cutting out the inside of the hexagons, you could use the same method as before, as shown here. Or, depending on the thickness and color of your fabric, you may be able to see through the top. This will allow you to cut through the fabric on the front, as shown here. Now I'll trim down my contact paper to fit my project. I'm using my ruler to hold down this first edge. Then I'll smooth it down from the back. I decided to switch out to a little bit of a bigger board. Then I'll use masking tape again to hold down my project. I've mixed my two-part resin according to the manufacturer's instructions. My resin is a little old, so it has already yellowed quite a bit. I'm going to add a couple drops of colored ink to really enhance that honey look. Here, I'm elevating one half of the board. This gives me an idea of how the resin is going to move within these little hexagon cells. This also gives me an idea of how much each space can hold. Because I have a limited amount of resin, I'm going to work on different areas of my project. This way I won't have the faux honey bunched up all in one area. Don't worry if any of the hexagons begins to leak. As your project begins to set, you can manipulate the resin a little bit. This is about 18 hours after I poured the resin. Because of a camera error, I had already begun peeling off the contact paper. To remove the contact paper, simply flip your project over and then slowly peel it away. Take your time and work from different angles. I like to cut away the contact paper in small sections, just so it's out of my way. You can see I got a really interesting drip on this edge. At this point you can see that the resin has begun to set up, but is still a little flexible. This is good for us because it means we can cut away any of the pieces that we don't necessarily like. If I didn't like this little drip piece here, I could remove it and glue it to the center, but I kind of like the offset look, so I'm going to leave it. Allow the project to set up for a couple more hours. Now that things have gotten settled, we can attach our hanging point and begin decorating. I've decided where I want my string to attach to, and I'll mark it just to remind myself. I'm simply using a generous amount of hot glue to attach the string to the back. Let that cool off before flipping the project back over. Now I'm going to add these little floral details. I pulled these pieces off of a stem. Because I want the flowers to lay flat, I need to trim away these little pieces on the back. Play with placement and move the flowers around. There's really no right or wrong way to do this, it's just what you think looks good. Once your flowers are attached, your project is ready to hang. If you tried this craft out, we'd love to see it. Our social media links can be found in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If there's a foam board craft that you would like to see a ready to craft of, let us know in the comments.